Okay, good morning, Christa. Welcome to the space you're in. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Diana. I'm glad we're able to chat.
Me too. Me too. So I have been, I don't want to say obsessed because that sounds a little scary, but a huge fan of yours for a long time. I remember the first time I saw you when I was a law student, you came to speak to at a women's event and you just had a baby. And I was like, oh my gosh, how does she, do it all? And she's pretty and she's nice. So I thought you'd be a great guest to have on this podcast about just the space that you're in life and just talking about all the things. So can
Yeah.
you just, for the people who don't already know and love you, can you just say a little bit about yourself and where you came from and where you ended up?
Yes, yeah. So it is crazy to think about you remembering when we met a long time ago when you were in law school. And when you said I had just had a baby, I was thinking, okay, which one? Because now I have three kids. It's like, after which pregnancy did I go to SMU and talk? But um, I'm from Dallas, born and raised, and have really just loved being in this community. And so now that I'm a partner at Baker Botts, I've been at the firm for 19 years now, which is absolutely crazy to think about.
Clutching my pearls.
I know, I tell people I started practicing law when I was 10 because I am still under 30 in my head. But my practice area is patent law. So I work with inventors and engineers, helping them to protect their ideas. I help in the litigation aspect and licensing aspect of patent law too. So that is like what I do for work. But in addition to having that on my plate at the firm, I'm also in various leadership roles. So I serve as the co-chair of the IP department, and IP is intellectual property. So I serve as the co-chair of that department for the firm. We have 160 timekeepers in our department. It is one of the larger groups in the firm. So that's one aspect of my admin work. And then I'm also on the executive committee for the firm, which is like our management group for the organization. And then I serve on the diversity and inclusion committee at the firm. I used to co-chair that initiative and help to really revamp the program. So I wear a lot of different hats when I am in the office.
And when you're outside of the office.
Oh my goodness, that's right. Yeah, it's like we haven't even talked about what goes on outside of these walls. So while I love my work and love being able to really affect change in this arena, what keeps me going, and I think what my passion is really serving the community and doing things to help others. And so I got involved in various community organizations when I was a young attorney, but what really drew me in and where I've spent a lot of time over the last 15 or so years is with the Junior League of Dallas. And through that organization, I really learned so much about the Dallas community that I had no idea about. And growing up in Dallas, you think, oh yeah, I know this city, I know the areas of need, but I was coming from a place of truly unawareness. And through the Junior League, I learned about the needs in our community, that what the agencies are doing to support those needs and how we are really growing as a city. And so I served in various areas within the Junior League of Dallas, but my most recent position was serving as president last year for the Junior League, and that was during the league's centennial anniversary. So it was truly an experience that I will never forget.
And how many Black presidents have they had?
So I was the first, which was special, yeah, to be the first Black president was special, but to be the first Black president while we were celebrating the centennial year, I think was even
special.
more impactful in that there was a lot going on. There was a lot of focus on what the league's work has been in the past and what we're doing in the future. And to have the community and the city see the league in this way and to see the racial diversity of the league in a new way.
Especially after the 2020 we all had.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's right. And coming off of the pandemic, and at that time, quite honestly, we were not coming off, we were still managing through it. But yeah, it was great to have that experience.
Yeah. And just kind of with that on that vein of being the first Black president, there are a lot of things that not many women do, not many Black people do, that you do at a really high level. So what has, your kind of life journey been like? Are you someone who grew up hearing like Black people can't do that, women can't do that? Or are you someone who just didn't even think about that at all?
Oh my gosh, I heard that. And you know what? Quite honestly, I'm still hearing it. Let's be real, okay? It's not
Thank
like
you.
there's some postmodern era where everything is perfect. I did electrical engineering in college, and thankfully my mom saw something and she said, and I told her, so when I was 12, I told my mom I wanted to be an attorney because I wanted to be like Claire Huxtable. I love the Cosby Show growing up, and Claire, that's
She's
who I wanted
flawless.
to be. Yes, absolutely, in every way.
She's like so
Uh,
smart. She's a clean eater. She like was 10 steps ahead of everyone. She was flawless.
yeah, she had the 5 children. She went out and went to court and did her thing. And so I said, I want to be
Hair
like,
done, nails done, everything done.
yes.
Mhm.
So I told my mom that at 12, and she said, that's fine, but you need to be a patent attorney because you are good at math and science, and you need to do engineering when you go to college, and then you can go to law school. And I tell my kids
Yes,
this now.
mom.
Yes. I was like,
Which
you
one
listen to
code?
because your mother knows. So I listened to my mom. I did electrical engineering at Rice when I was in college down in Houston. Came back to SMU in Dallas for law school, and I did patent law. And it's because my mom saw that this was a skill of mine that I had, and she encouraged me to do that. And thankfully she did, because I don't know that others would have pushed me into that area. And then when I was at Rice, when I was doing electrical engineering, there were a handful of women in the group, let alone African American women, right, in my class. So that was the journey in undergrad. And then coming to Baker Botts, even when I was going through my associate tenure, my associate years, there were not any African American partners in our Dallas office, very few in the firm. And so I happened to be the first associate, that African American associate in our Dallas office, to be promoted to partner. And that was just in 2014. This was not decades ago.
Yeah. And 2014 is when I graduated from law school. So I don't know which baby you had, but it would have been like 2012, 2013.
Okay. That was the third and last baby.
You seem like a professional. You're like, I had a C-section. I was on this day. I was like, she's got a system with this whole childbirth thing.
No, there is no system. Thankfully, I just have an incredible doctor who knows how to deal with the crazed schedule of professionals. I'll tell you a funny story. Now, this is really bad. So with my third child, since now we know that that was a pregnancy, I went into labor early that morning, like at 2 or something, and I wasn't sure that I was actually in labor. So I went downstairs, and there were some things I needed to do. I started cleaning. I eventually woke up my husband. I said, I think I'm in labor. We need to go to the hospital. But I was planning to be induced the following day.
Yeah.
So I had left some stuff on my desk that I knew I just needed to get done. So I said, I'll come in Tuesday morning, get all that done, finalize some things, say my goodbyes. And then that Wednesday, I was going to go and be induced, which happened to be leap day that year. February 29th was when I was supposed to be induced. And when I got pregnant, I saw that I may be due on leap day. I was telling the baby, I said, please don't come on leap day. Please come on a different day. So I happened to go in labor on February 28th. Because I knew I had stuff on my desk, I had my husband bring me to the office before I went to the hospital. I finished a few things up, and then I went to the hospital, and my doctor, I love her. I mean, to this day, she was like, where were you? Why were you not here? I've been waiting for you. So I had the baby 2 hours later, and I tell my daughter now, that's my only daughter, I said, you're going to be a patent attorney too. Because I went into the office the day you were born.
Put a little sauce on it. Yeah. On that pregnancy. A little turny sauce.
So it's interesting to think about it now, but it truly takes support all around to help do certain things. And I mean, it's not me. And I know the podcast is called Wonder Woman, but I think the people that are considered Wonder Women have a supporting cast around them that allows them and pushes them to be able to do things that, you may not have been able, that you thought you could not do.
Yeah, there's like an African proverb I was quoting on the phone the other night with a friend where it says like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
That's right.
And it's truly, it's like, yes, being disciplined and organized is great, but you definitely need a team, because you're one person.
That is right. There are only certain things I can get done in a day at a single period of time. Now, granted, it is a cast, an orchestra that has to be conducted, but everyone plays their role in order for us to make it work and to get things done.
So I was curious about if you grew up always thinking you were going to be a patent attorney, and the answer is yes. Like you, from a pretty young age, were like, this is the direction.
Yeah, as far as what my job would be, yes, to be a patent attorney. Now, did I ever in my wildest dreams think I would be practicing law 19 years in and being at the same firm for 19 years? No way.
And because I remember when we were in the same office building for a little while, and I was like, oh, I've got a parking spot. You're like, I'm a partner and I don't have a parking spot. Did the building give you guys parking?
So we had the option to try to get a spot, but it wasn't, automatic once you became partner or something. So I could get in the building and park, but I didn't have my own spot or anything. I still don't have my own spot.
Like only 19 years. That's okay. It's only 19
That's
years.
okay. I am fine with that. I will always find my normal spot when I come in.
I love it. You're counting your blessings.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
are you someone who like practices gratitude or has some kind of morning something that you do to get your mind together before you, or do you just like wake up and hit the ground running?
I usually wake up and hit the ground running. Yeah. And the thing is with kids too, that kind of just changes what you can do in the morning, because I am usually hustling to get them out, myself out, and then I try to be as efficient and productive when I'm here as I can. Now, what I do though to just release the stress every day, and my kids know this, I work out in the evening. And I come home at times when, just the stress of the day is on you. And I've told them, I was like, I need 45 minutes to go work out for me to be a better mom. Like that's what I need.
It's
And
for
so,
you. This work
yeah,
is for you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I've learned the techniques that I need to include in my day in order to continue going. Like people think, oh my goodness, how do you do all that you do? Well, it's because I have other methodologies that I implement in order to have the energy, to have the focus to do those things. And you know what? 45 minutes to take for myself every day is fine. The world is not going to, go up in flames, or, work is still going to be there. And so that's just something that I've been able, and I needed to prioritize in order to do some of the other things.
Had you always been like that, or was it something you learned as?
I learned, yes. I mean, the learning and the growth that has happened from when I first started, no one teaches you how to manage your day. No one teaches you how to have multiple kids and still be a partner at a firm. That's something you kind of figure out and talk to other people and pull techniques in from various folks. But for me, I learned that when I don't work out, I carry stress. And I had to figure out a way to relieve that stress in my life. And I also know, like, I can't do yoga. You know what?
It's not your thing.
I can't do it. I need to sweat. I need to get on the Peloton. I need to run. I need to release it.
Actively.
Yes.
So kind of taking a hard pivot, and I'm being intentionally vague because I just want you to go kind of whatever direction you want with it. But like, do you have any stories, thoughts, reflections on just throughout the course of your journey being underestimated?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I do. And I'm trying to think of an appropriate story and one that really just explains the idea or shows the idea. I remember one time when I was on a trial team and we had a meeting, and I mean, not everyone, but I know a number of women, people of color that are in our industry. They've had a story where they go to a meeting and they're considered, oh, is that the assistant, or is
Can you get
that
me a
the person?
copy?
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I've absolutely been asked that. I remember one time I was on an elevator and one of the assistants asked me if I was the new assistant at the firm in our intellectual property group. And at that point, I was already a partner. But where I saw it, one specific example I'll tell you about is I was promoted to deputy chair of our IP department in 2018. And it was, most young partners had not been in a leadership role like that before. I was only 4 years into my partnership. I think there were a number of people who wanted that visibility, that opportunity. And the department chair at the time, it truly has been my champion at the firm. And so and I even told him, I said, oh, I don't know about this. I think I need
I don't want to get shot at work.
I was like, I think I need to build my practice some more. I don't know if I should be going in this role. And he was like, no, Christa, you're going to do this. And, thankfully he saw that in me, but others that were in the group did not. And the interesting thing is there were certain people who actively try to not just disparage me, but to do things that would inhibit what I was trying to do at the firm, as far as moving the needle with our diversity efforts, helping to attract additional folks into our group, helping with work allocation, and making sure that all associates were getting equal opportunities, and also just being an external voice for the firm and where we could go. And I remember getting a call from an associate in another office, and she was like, Christa, I just wanted to let you know that I heard a conversation that you need to know about. And it was a couple of people that were actively thinking about ways to make sure I did not get into another role at this firm. Right. The memoir that I will one day write.
Scathing page turner, like Prince Harry's books will seem like nothing.
Yeah, I will never forget that conversation. And then I, being the person that I am and wanting to make sure there's an open dialogue, I called one of those partners. And he did not know what to do.
Did he lie?
Did he what?
Did he deny it, or?
He did deny it. Of course he denied it.
Okay.
But, what does the associate have to lose in telling me something that happened? And so we had our conversation, we moved on. And the interesting thing is those two partners that were truly plotting against me, they are no longer here at the firm.
Look at God.
That is right. And I remember I felt I was hurt, one, because there was that one of the partners was someone who I grew up with here at the firm, who I've known for many, many years. But two, I just felt like the arrows were coming every way. And, when you're in that space, it's hard. But, at that point, it was the support of my family, and there was support of a couple of really key people in my life here at the firm that got me through that very hard time, where it was not just what I was thinking was happening, it was actually happening.
Yeah. And what do you feel like the biggest kind of takeaway from that was for you?
The takeaway is to be resilient. And instead of allowing a hard time to keep you down, learn from that hard time and grow, because God is getting you ready for your next role. Yeah. I mean, without a doubt, I know that was what is happening. And so now when I am being beat up, I'm like, oh, Lord, what you about to do now? Because it's about to get
You're
good.
excited. Mhm.
I know that I am being prepared for something. And as hard as it was to go through that, I am so grateful for those opportunities too, because I have been able to learn and grow and further develop just as a human being and as a person. And I can empathize with folks that are low because I have been there. I have been, people walked on me trying to make sure I get pushed to the back. But if you are resilient and you have grit and you learn, you can do anything.
Well, and I'm so glad that you share that because you are someone who has this persona where you're always smiling, always put together. It'd be really easy to look at you and think you don't have any problems, everything's been easy for you, and you are where you are because you're just lucky.
Mhm.
So, what would you say to people who think that?
Ha! Yeah, you must not know me. I mean, but I will say, I am not going to deny the fact that I have certain privileges. I grew up with both my parents who put me in private school, and I had a private school education up until I went to undergrad, and then I got to go to Rice. I mean,
Grade school.
there were
Yeah.
some opportunities that I had absolutely that allowed me to be in certain positions in my life. I will not negate that. Um, but the fact of the matter is, regardless of what opportunities you may have, it does not mean that you're not going to have challenges along the way. And if you do have a life like that, I mean, lucky for you, but that's not the norm. It truly is, I think, how you respond to those challenges that determine where you go in the future.
Yeah. And, for me, it's like I love learning people's stories. I love documentaries. I love reading. And the kind of common denominator I've seen through human stories is like the exceptional people generally have exceptional challenges that they overcome. It's not they woke up and, Oprah wasn't Oprah as an infant. She was raped and grew up poor and had gender discrimination and, was told she never fit for TV. And like Sarah Blakely, like, she started Spanx and nobody wanted to give her financing. Now she's a billionaire. Like,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's so easy to look at chapter 30 in someone's life and think, oh,
Yes.
like chapters 1 through 29 must have been just like that. And like, no, there were valleys, real
Yes,
ones,
absolutely. And
with fire
it's
breathing dragons.
Yeah, and you know what? That's what life is too. It's up and down, it's peaks and valleys. And that's what I even tell people from a career standpoint. Don't look at it as like just linear. Sometimes there're going to be plateaus and then there's going to be dips and then you go back up and you stay at a level and appreciate all of those moments, right? Don't just be racing to get to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason I started this podcast is because I just had a birthday actually last week.
Oh, happy birthday.
Like, this is one of my birthday cards right here.
Love it.
And so as I was approaching the birthday, I was just thinking about another year and thinking about the idea of like, because I'm at a point now, I'm not 40 yet, but my compatriots are starting to turn
I'm
40.
not 40 either.
Listen, don't do it.
At least
Don't.
that's what I still tell people.
But yeah, so it's like we're starting to say like, oh, I thought by now I thought 40 would look like this. And I have the whole spectrum, like the career bachelors, the career party girls, the people who got married at 18 are still married, the people who got married at 18 are on their, I mean, I have a friend, I was a bridesmaid and I did her divorce and she's on husband number 5. So I've got people all over. I'm like, are you sure you let, but she's the marrying type. Okay. Anyway, it's not about her. It's about the fact that like life, sometimes, you decide to be patent attorney at 12 and you still are one, but sometimes you don't have that linear thing. And even if you do decide at 12, like things don't always look the way you thought they would, which I think is something that you've said because you didn't think you'd still be the same place 19 years later. But how does your life look different than maybe you thought it would have by now when you were 12?
Yeah. So while I knew at 12 that I wanted to become a patent attorney, when I was in law school, and I don't tell this to a lot of people, but you know, on your podcast,
Thank you.
that my plan was to practice for a year, 1 year,
And
and then
travel the world.
go right. Well, and then go to my dad's company and work at my dad's company, learn the business even more, and then take over my dad's company. That was the plan. Um, and the only reason I stayed here, I mean, yeah, the work is fine, but it's because when I started, I saw that there were no African American partners in my office and that no one had been promoted to partner yet. And that was not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, now I'm going to have to stay to see if I can do this.
Yeah.
And then I made it. And then I saw what the partnership looked like. And that's a whole other thing. And then I
New
saw
levels, new
leadership.
devils kind of thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, I'm going to have to stay here and try to make some change. But you know what I love about where we are in 2023 is, even though I've been practicing for 19 years and have been in this career, that does not necessarily mean that this is it for me. And, you know, there are opportunities now to change where you're going at 50 or at 55 and still have a lot of time to make an impact in another area. And so that's something that I quite honestly am excited about, is the fact that I still have a lot more years of work, and there may be opportunities to have an impact and create change in other environments too.
Yeah. And with the way that, changes in medicine and health, I mean, our lifespans are getting longer.
Mm-hmm.
But even, back before that, it's like the founder of McDonald's, I just watched that documentary on Netflix for the second time. It's so good. But he was 52 when he started McDonald's Corporation.
Oh my goodness.
And was like 52 years old, going around to different lodges, trying to get people to be franchisees, like, mortgaged his house, wound up getting divorced, like 52.
Man.
So it's like so many people think, oh, if I haven't done it by now, I'm like, I don't know, you could start $1 billion company at 52. Like,
yeah, this is phase one.
Mm-hmm.
Phase two may look completely different. Yes.
Not the workout, the warm up. Well, there's only like a couple minutes left of our time. It's already about 30 minutes, and that's kind of where I wanted to stop, if I could get that sentence out. But I do want just like a couple hot takes really fast from you on one, the idea of having it all, whether you think it's something that people should even try to do or not. And I want just a couple hot takes on raising Black kids. So,
okay. So having it all, I would say, I would never limit yourself, but also I would say give yourself grace.
Yeah.
And don't feel like everything has to come at a certain time altogether, or it has to come within a certain time period. Because as we've talked about, it is not a sprint. It is a marathon. Life is a marathon. And while people look at me and say, oh, well, yeah, you have it all. Well, you know what? People don't know too that I went on an alternative work schedule after having 2 kids. And when I did that, I was not put up for partner when I normally would have been. I was deferred a year. And for me, that additional time was fine, because I had my Fridays with my babies, And so, yeah, maybe I wasn't a partner at the same time as other people in my class. Okay. I didn't have it all at that moment, but eventually you can get what you want if that is your goal in life. So that's what I would say, is don't be focused on having it all right now. Think about the long term and the big picture.
Because it's like, if something is for you, it's for you. Like,
right.
You will have it.
And, okay, footnote on that really fast. I do find that people come in and are like, oh, well, I need to be a leader tomorrow. Take your time.
Yeah. But and it's like, are you a leader today? Do you lead yourself? Like, you want to be one tomorrow.
Yes.
Well,
So again, it's like take the long view, rather than the short view, to I think truly have a full experience. Okay, so that's that.
mhm,
With raising Black kids, so I have 3 kiddos, 2 boys and a little girl. And I'm now at the phase of raising teenagers. So a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and 11-year-old. And this phase, I think I am more worried than I used to be about certain things.
yeah,
We have very open conversations, particularly with my boys. And my oldest is not yet driving, he will be. But we've had to have straight conversations about what it means to be Black in our environment today, and what it means to be Black even in our neighborhood, and letting them walk down the street. So I would say raising Black kids, we have had to be very honest and transparent with our environment. Now we do it in a way that is appropriate for their age, but we can't shield them
right.
from the world. And so we've had to have those conversations earlier than I would have expected. I'll even just tell you, like one of my sons, when he was in elementary school, he was at PE, and one of the other little boys called him the N-word. And that was eye-opening for us. It was heartbreaking for us, but it also, just elucidated the fact that this is what we have to do as parents, to keep them safe. And so I think there is more mental capacity spent in trying to raise them and to try to just protect them. They're beyond just all the things that we deal with in our environment today, with the gun violence, the mass shootings, the
Allen, like Texas,
yes,
just the other day.
yeah. I mean, I was not at that mall, but I was at another mall in Dallas at that exact same time. And I took my daughter and her friend to the mall, and I was grading papers, and I let them walk to a store by themselves. And I just thought to myself when I got home, oh my gosh, what if that had happened there?
Yeah.
And and my daughter was in another store. So it's
and her
all,
friend.
yes. Yeah. And
You
so
gotta call the parents and
yes, like the worry is real. But I pray every day. I pray for my children, and that helps keep my sanity. That helps me keep my sanity a bit,
Yeah.
knowing that at the end of the day, I know that God has them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I asked because I grew up, my parents met at Harvard. I grew up, very privileged, but you're Black wherever you go. And even if you have the education and you have, certain advantages that maybe other Black people don't, it doesn't mean that it's all smooth sailing. And, I think sometimes people think, well, you're not really Black, like you don't have to. And I'm like, no, I mean, I definitely got called the N-word as a child. And I definitely like, when I was in kindergarten, actually, so I don't remember this, but my mom does. She said I'd come home almost every single day crying, begging her to make me white so the kids would play with me. It's like, you know, while if I had to choose between going to a lesser school and not getting the education I got, and I don't know what choice I'd make, but I'm grateful for my blessings, but it doesn't mean that there haven't been other challenges that maybe people don't think of. And so that's why I wanted to ask you that, just to share that, like, yeah, like you're providing a great life for your kids and they're covered in prayer, but the challenges of, even though we have made a lot of progress in America, the challenges that Black parents face are still, even in different socioeconomic statuses, they're still there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed talking with you. I mean, I always enjoy talking with you and, in person usually, not on Zoom, but, you are someone who, it's like consistently, like whenever you come up in conversation, it's like, oh, Christa, she's so inspiring. And we just missed each other in December at the Baker Botts event at the Rustic.
Yes.
But I met a couple of the female IP associates at that event, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, Christa, she's amazing. She's such a champion for women, and she's so smart. She works so hard. So whatever you're doing is working. Keep it up."
Thank you. That means a lot.
And
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, keep it up. And I really appreciate you. I know that in the legal profession, after 10, 15, 20 years, most women have endured some kind of nonsense, regardless of race, white women, Asian. And for some of them, it makes them bitter and mean. And I've definitely been in environments where like there were women who just ignored, women partners who just would only interact with male associates and wouldn't even bother talking to women. And so I'm just grateful that you have chosen to not be one of those that treats the next generation of women lawyers like public enemy number one.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
thank
if
you.
I can end with one thing, it would be how I see my role now is to truly empower those around me.
Mhm.
And my goal is not to pull you up behind me. I want to push you ahead of me.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm trying to do.
I love it. That's great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Diana. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a
It's
great
been
day,
fun.
Christine. Bye.
Bye.